Okay, got a question from Justin, and he asked a question that's near and dear to my heart. As someone who, unlike yourself, is terrible at keeping records, what do you recommend is kept in training logs, journals? Sets, reps, resting heart rate, cardio workouts, goals, using your rules for goals. Do you have a recommended style, format, brand? If not, is this something you might bring out as a book? That would be fun. The Dan John Journal book. So I just pulled this one out because it was in my shelf, but this is from this is from June of 1990. And what I did in this one is something I always do. I start off every journal, and the first thing I do is I write out what I've just learned in the last few years. It's kind of fun to look back on this one because, it recommends for lifting 3 days a week. Well, when I lift 3 days a week, I do really well. Now, when I do easy strength for fat loss with Olympic lifting, we're going to work on that title. Yes, I lift 5 days a week, but 2 of the days are very light and very easy, and it's just kind of just greasing my mobility up. In fact, I go immediately and go do mobility right after. I talk about in this one here, there was a book out at the time called Jet Fuel. I also bought the audio, and basically the author just says shop in the perimeter, and then basically we just call it a clean diet. Just eat foods you have to chop and prepare yourself. Don't buy boxes or bags. Pretty good. It's funny to read this. I got a little note down here about overhead squats, half circle drill. We do those every day with my athletes, and rotate up for the throws. I literally yelled that at Emily about 80 times yesterday. And I just write down a bunch of notes, and this is something I find fascinating. Okay, Kelly came by. This is when Kelly first showed up. So that's Kelly. I don't even, she must be sneaking up on a year in that picture. Oh my gosh, look how cute she is. She now is the mother of 2, and neither of them is even, they're, 10 and 9, and life happens, man. I write all kinds of notes in here about different things I'm working on. It's interesting here. This is when I'm really starting to push the concept of 8s, the 8 reps. In that decade, many of the training programs I would use would be sets of 8 with a tight 1-minute rest. I call it the transformation program. So I like this style. Oh, by the way, I got notes from a rotational shot put clinic here. I've got notes from when I was at the Olympic Training Center, all the notes from the lectures they gave us while we're down there. I've got all kinds of ideas that fail miserably and all kinds of ideas that work really well. This one includes lectures I'm putting together, notes on lectures. I'm trying to learn things. 2 of the people who are throwing with me this day are no longer alive, which is just amazing. During the throwing session, the 2 people I'm throwing with are both no longer with us, as that happens. Today, I do something a little better. This comes from, this is a school I'm on the advisory board for, Parker University. On the back of my journals now, I always include my pirate map. And pirate map's also in the back of my computer also. With this one, and this is what I'm heading to now, one thing I always recommend is that you always keep a pen. So there's this little band here that holds the pen. When you go to a bookstore, Barnes & Noble has a ton of them. You buy a journal, but always make sure there's a loop for a pen, because you'll notice it. When you're trying to write things down, you got to have a pen nearby. And I know you know this, but you don't until you're like me and you lose it 1,000 times. What I also like about this one is that they have these little sticky notes in there. And what I've done with this one is every time I'm overweight, I throw a sticky note in there. And every time I can, an orange sticky note. So I can see, that's kind of not bad. Just by looking, I'm probably overweight, for where I want to be for weightlifting meets 6 times since September 1st. So that's, once every couple of weeks, by the way, I weighed in over today at what I wanted to be. But, yesterday we had a massive breakfast with this is almost embarrassing as a person to say, a massive breakfast with, we had biscuits and gravy and a whole bunch of other things. So let's just say that wasn't my best work. What I do now, this isn't perfect, but well, yeah, let's just go to this one. Okay, so on this side of the paper, I always do my to-do list. Now, if you know my pirate map, before I go to bed, I make coffee in the morning, I take my supplements, and I make my to-do list for tomorrow. So my to-do list, by the way, I also have a Google Calendar right there, but I just write down to remind myself what I got to do tomorrow. Yes, I have a calendar, and yes, I have this. And I also do this thing now, my phone's upstairs, but now what I do often is I'll set alarms about an hour before these events so that I have plenty of time to prepare myself. And then on this side, I have my 2-number stuff. So on this side, this is my body weight. My goal is to weigh 211. I got a weightlifting, I'm just a few days out from a weightlifting meet there, and I'm weighing 227. Because I was trying to get down, so I was just trying to really, okay, I was 3 pounds over. Okay, I gotta get down 3 pounds, kilo and a half. And then I write down the workout. I did the perfect workout. I did snatches. I did clean and jerks. I did a sauna, and I did a whole bunch of Tim Anderson mobility that day. On the other side is my financial goal, and I write down any ideas that I've come up with. Today, for example, I write down that I did podcast 176, and that just pushes me towards where I want to be when what I want to be and who I want to be. That's how I do it. I think it's important, I'll write down political events, I'll write down big games, the Rose Bowl, the Super Bowl, the World Cup, the Olympics. I'll write down track meet information. I'll write down, hung out with the grandkids. I went to the amusement park. I'll write down a lot of small things. Sometimes what I've noticed is that if you write in a journal every day, you don't have to do that, dear diary, I'm so mad. You don't have to do all those long things. You can just make a few notes to yourself because the dialogue is in there. That's the way. What do you mean by that? I don't need a massive conversation with my future self. I can just write down, here are the 7 things that are going on in my life. Last night I found out that another person close to me died. 3 people I know very well have died in the last 8 days. And, I don't need to say to my future self, hey, it's a tough week. I'll figure that out, So I pretty much like to have lists. I like to have workout numbers. You have a whole bunch of things. I mean, if that's something you want to do, your resting heart rate. My resting heart rate, I go to the American Red Cross 5 times a year and give blood. I get my hematocrit, my blood pressure, my resting heart rate, my temperature. They give you, there's a little chart that I can use. It's online as a tool, and I can see where those numbers are moving. I have watched my blood pressure go up in the last few years because of pressure, but it'll be interesting to see that come down soon. Any tool you want to use, anything you want to keep track of, my goals are real clear. I have a financial goal and I have a physical goal. I don't have a ton of other goals, which probably doesn't say a lot about me. For me, writing a book a year or 2 books a year isn't a goal, it's just what I do. That's actually, we could talk about that, a goal setting course sometimes. Yes, my pirate map is to build brick by brick by brick by brick, day by day by day by day, myself to a success in my physical goal and my financial goal. And we're just, when you lock together a whole bunch of days together, you're going to have the Great Wall of China. So for me, with my pirate map and knowing what my goals are, by the way, which I've already achieved, yay for me, most of the time, it's funny. The goals I have, I don't always hit every month, but I try to. And my goal is to get them more and more months in a row, kind of thing. So whatever you decide format or template you decide on is great, but I will tell you this is kind of interesting. It's going to change. It's going to change because you're going to change. And I do like, if you can put, tape out some pictures. I got a picture there. I got a picture right there of my daughter Kelly, and I'm like, let's make sure we tape that into this journal too. That'd be kind of fun, kind of maybe do that. I'll have family photos, pictures of the deceased. When I go to weightlifting meets, I don't bring my journal. I bring these little index cards that are sticky. Okay, they peel off, and then I write all my information. At the end of a weightlifting meet, I just pull it off and I slap that into my journal, so it's always there. So I'll have my weight, my goals, my plan B. If something bad happens, I always have a plan B. You get to a certain point in life, you need to have plan C also. And that's what I try to do. So I try to make my journal more than just a bunch of notes. Dear diary, I'm so mad. I like to have other stuff. Yes, I will occasionally rip out articles and put them in there. I don't do that as much anymore because, frankly, I don't get a chance to rip out articles anymore. Good question. A really good question. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.